and it's frustrating. He just waltzes through and he feels he has his own birthright. That his family line makes him his legacy and he's got to live up to it. But here's the dilemma about it. He hasn't quite filled that identity. Everyone hates him. Because he is not being authentic. He is not being himself, and he is not letting himself be who he is. He's not releasing what he needs to release, and that is what John Cena is there for. He's going to work on that with him. Which means, in a sense, that is Roman Reigns' new school lesson this year. See, John Cena is actually Roman Reigns' mentor now. And believe it or not, he needs one. He needs somebody that could elevate him to be the best that he can be. And I find it funny in the arc. In every story, there's a mentor and there's a student. And considering we're discussing about back to school season and everything else, I will discuss about that right now. Students can be good and they can be cruel to a teacher. Students can be cool and they can be cruel. See, students can respect what their teacher is telling them. They can be geared up. They can be taught. They can have a new lesson. They can do whatever. They can be what they need to be. They can elevate themselves to be great. I will repeat that again. They can elevate themselves to be great. Look at some of the greatest athletes. Look at some of the most successful people in the world. They all had habits. And they all had mentors. They all had mentors who would teach them how to be great. Some of them listened. Some of them learned. Some of them did not. Now, I am going to discuss those that do not adhere to teachers' advisement. I am going to listen. I'm going to talk about students who do not adhere to teachers' advisement. And it is going to be a sum up that's going to wrap up this podcast. But it's going to be more after the break.
In the first book, I discussed about the facts of growing broke. The second book, I discussed about the importance of saving money. This is the third book in a series of books. In this book, I will discuss about the importance of budgeting. Budgeting is debated by people. Some may think it is the next best thing since sliced bread, and others may just hate it. Either way, budgeting can be an asset if it is used right, even if you don't like it. Like saving money, it is a disciplinary tactic that can be used. What is budgeting? Budgeting is where you limit yourself a certain amount a week and stick to the budget. There are benefits to this if you do it. However, there also is a downside to it. Sometimes you might feel limited. All of these points will be discussed in this book. The first chapter of the book, I will discuss about dividing your check when you are on a budget. The second chapter, I will discuss about the importance of living on a budget and sticking to it. The third chapter, I will discuss about resisting the urge of spending your money and rewarding yourself for sticking to the budget. The fourth chapter, I will discuss about the techniques you can use for setting a budget, whether it's handwritten or on Excel. In the fifth chapter, I discuss about automating your budget, so that way you could spend and not worry about it. Then I discuss about how you know your budget is working, and finally wrapping up about the topic on budgeting. This book on budgeting is to give you pointers of what I learned about budgeting. I will tell you what has worked for me and what hasn't. I will also tell you, like I told you in the last book, that this book is to reinforce these ideas on budgeting into me. If you follow these steps or are already using them, great. If you're just picking up tips on this book, then this book is for you. However, if you don't like this book and you don't want to budget, then that is your decision to make. I'm not going to change your decision one way or the other. I just want to add an alternative view. I hope you enjoy and learn all you can read. Enjoy this book. Good budgeting is allocation of your funds, and there are different ways you can budget. Whether you are limiting yourself a certain amount a week or you are automating your funds, either way, the choice is up to you. Only you know your fixed expenses and your other expenses. And as I learned from reading Tony Robbins' new book, Money, Master the Game, 7 Simple Steps to Financial Freedom, it might be beneficial financially to move to a different environment. Maybe you need a change in life, and this could help you with your living expenses. Budgeting is what you make of it. Make the best of it.
I am back at the podcast that was budgeting, how to budget your money by Joseph Vivaldi. Available on Amazon, iTunes, and Audible. Also available on the Amazon Kindle and in paperback. Back to the podcast. I'm back. I talked about when a teacher gives a bad, not bad, when a student does not adhere to the teacher's message. That ties in with Cena and Reigns. That ties into the arc of the Way of the Peaceful Warrior with Socrates and Dan Millman. In the beginning, the students, some of them, even the hardest one, is very rowdy. I mean, have you ever been to a class where student is giving the teacher the hardest time and is really a proverbial pain in the mother? You know what? I didn't say it. I can't say it. It's not explicit. But you know what I'm saying. When you have a student who's like that, who gives every teacher the hardest time, they are student that needs to learn the most. Now, you would think, who's actually the teacher? Is it the teacher? Is it the student who needs to learn from the teacher? Or is it the teacher who needs to learn from the student? Now, the teacher has to learn from that student. If the teacher is going to say the message he wants the student to hear, the student has to teach the lesson to the teacher. Now, after the short break, I'm gonna wrap up this podcast. I discussed a lot of heavy hitting questions that discuss with back to school, that discuss with lessons, new projects, all the fun that comes with back to school and everything else. And I will cut to a break.
If you're looking for a brand new item, you can find the latest in art fashion on mugs, necklaces and t-shirts. These designs are creative and they're one of a kind. You won't find anything like it. You can find it at cafepress.com/Joseph Valdi Creative Art. I personally recommend it.
That was www.cafepress.com/Joseph Evaldi. That is JOSEPHEVALDI Creative Art. Back to the podcast. With that website, again, you will find some fashion jewelry, mugs, shirts, all with my art design on it. Some I made last year, but I know since time is getting closer, creeping away towards Christmas, and I know many people don't want to think about that, but September, it starts the season, and I figure if you're looking for items and everything else, you could go to that website and you'll have a lot of good gift ideas. Maybe if you need a sweatshirt, you could get it there. Several things you could go. Just check out that site out. Back to the podcast. I'm gonna try to wrap this up in a few seconds or a minute or two. But this website, this podcast, I discussed a lot about student teachers lessons. I discussed a lot about new projects and everything that comes with fall and back to school. Now, back to school, back to work. It doesn't matter if our teacher is our supervisor